Hello, good morning. You clicked on this video because you want to know how to change the steering cable in your Kawasaki SX750 or 750 SXI or whatever you want to call it. Because unfortunately, seems like a horrible job. So I'm just doing this myself, and there's nothing that I've found online that tells you exactly how to do this. So I figured, why not make a video on it? So this is just me going through trying to get my steering cable replaced, and I can take you guys along with me, and maybe you'll learn something. So here we go. So the first thing I've done, disconnected the cable from both ends. My cable snapped in half, so I pulled the actual cable out of the inside. You'll have a connection here. Pop that off of your jet. Pop it off of the steering plate here. You're gonna have to take this cover plate off to get at all this stuff. There's a bracket here for the cable itself, so I took the 2 bolts out of that, removed the cable from that bracket, and then the cable runs down the steering pole through here, down the front there underneath the gas tank, and then it comes out here, goes along, and goes underneath the water box, through the hull, out back there. So the first thing I've done, took my pipe out, started taking the water box out. So that this is part of the exhaust pipe, and then in order to get the water box out of here, a lot of people say that you have to remove the engine, which I'm trying not to do. So I'm taking the exhaust manifold off of the engine with the pipe still attached, because I just put a new gasket in here and I don't want to change it. So I'm taking the exhaust manifold off of the engine. Hopefully that gives me enough room to get the water box out. We'll see. If it doesn't, I will have to at least remove the engine mounts and move the engine over if I can. But we'll see when we get there. And then after that, the gas tank. People also say that you're gonna have to take the gas tank out, which I also don't want to do. So I've taken the straps off of here, and hopefully I can lift the tank enough just to get the cable out from underneath it. But it's likely that the tank is going to have to come out. Now I don't know if the engine has to come out in order to get the tank out as well. So we'll see. We'll play it by ear. Alright, so unfortunately I'm going to have to take this B-pipe off, even though I just put a new gasket in there. I got the manifold loose, but the pipe hits the hull, and I can't get the manifold off of the studs. So B-pipe's got to come off, then the manifold off, and then we'll try and get the water box out. Okay, I got the pipe off, the manifold's off. Now the water box is held in by this little bracket up here. It's got a rubber grommet in it. It just kind of sits in that. And then if you can see back here behind your electrical here, there's a pipe going that way that's got a clamp on it. You'll have to get in there and try and get that pipe off, and then you can slide the water box out this way, I believe. Okay, so to take the water box out now, the whole electrical system, you just gotta kind of displace it so that you can get that pipe past here. There's just 4 bolts that hold this whole box to the hull. You'll see there's one long one here. There's one down here. There's this Allen bolt here. And then there's one more long one down here. So 4 in total, and then this whole thing pulls away. And then now, that makes it easier to get the exhaust pipe off as well. And then now this should come out. One more thing, starter was in the way. There's 2 10mm bolts that hold the starter into the block. Actually, it looks like mine's all corroded. Yeah, the whole bolt came out. That's good. Okay, so yeah, 2 10mm bolts, and then the starter slides that way. It's got an O-ring on it that seals it into the case. So you just gotta wiggle and pry, and it just slides out. Now, hopefully, water box will come out. Okay, so I got the water box out. The trick to it, after I'd moved the starter, tried pulling it out, it got stuck on the exhaust studs. So I pulled the studs out of the head, or out of the cylinder, I guess. And then pulling it out, pull it straight out, and then tip it nose up. So it'll be in there like this, and then you're gonna pull it straight out and then tip it up like this. This pipe is gonna clear between the engine and the electrical box, and then this is gonna come straight up and out like that. So, now that I got that out, I can see down in there, there's a grommet here that just pops off. It's split, comes off like that. And then, now, I don't know what else is involved in getting that out of there, because between where it goes through the hull back here and where it goes into the hull here, there's a good gap, probably, I don't know, like a foot and a bit. So I'm assuming that I just need to take the nut off of this end here, and it should come out. But so far it hasn't been that easy, so we'll see. I'm gonna try and figure out a way to get in there and get that nut off without having to take the ride plate off. I know people will generally take the ride plate off and then you can get in there with a pair of pliers. But if I can make a tool, it's got a socket, it's gonna go over top of that I can turn from out here, and that saves me having to take the ride plate off. And then if I ever have to do this again, I've got a tool for it. Well, that was easy. So the nut back there is 1 1/16 inch nut. So I've got a 3/4 drive socket, some 3/4 inch square tubing, and I can put this with one hand, very difficult. Okay, come on. Okay, so I can put the socket on there. You can probably do this with 3/8 as well, but I don't have any 3/8 tubing. So then the end of the cable is going to go down the tube, and I can then just turn the tube with a 3/4 inch wrench, and that nut should come off there. Alright, well that was super easy. Just put everything in there, socket is down on the nut, broke it loose, and then now I can just turn this off by hand. And then after this, just have to worry about getting the cable out of the steering pole and out from under the gas tank. So once you get the nut off of the bulkhead fitting, this is the nut, this is what it looks like. There will be underneath that nut a few things. The first thing that's going to come off is this little spacer guy here. Then you're going to have this washer that slides off. And then here's the important part. There's an O-ring that goes over the cable, and I would assume it sits in that groove there, but it gets pinched between this washer, and there's like a conical seat in that fitting. And so if you take that nut off and you try and reflick the cable through that way, you're going to end up jamming this O-ring in there. So what you have to do is, once you get it loose, push the cable out a little bit, pull that washer or the O-ring off, and then you can slide the cable through. If you try and pull the cable through with that O-ring still on there, it's going to be really difficult, and you're probably going to get it wedged in the tube that it goes through in the hull back there. So be mindful of that. I've pulled as much of the cable out as I could. So pulled it out of there. There's a couple little rubber blocks that was in here, took it out of there. I worked it around the fuel tank and got it out to the top of the tank because it was wrapped around the back side there and then came out this corner. And then now I've pulled it down the handle pole as far as I could. The end of the cable is right here, but that end of the cable looks the same as this one. It's got a steel end on it, so I've got to deal with 4.5 inches, 5 inches of non-bending cable there, and obviously I'm I'm not going to be able to get it through the hull with the tank in here. So the tank does have to come out. There's no way around that. Unless, well, taking it out, I could bend the end of the cable on this one because it's junk. But putting the new one in, I'm going to have to take the tank out just in order to get it up in there. So that'll be my next task, is I guess disconnecting all this, unhooking the filler neck up front, and then pulling the tank out of here. I got a little carried away here. I kind of put everything all back together now, but didn't miss much. Basically, the fuel tank did come out. Just a couple of straps, unhook the filler neck. Found it was easier. There's 4 screws in this plate here. Pull that out, and then you can get the band clamps that hold the filler neck on. And then it's just the 2 straps, and the whole thing came out with the exhaust out. Didn't have to worry about taking the engine out or anything for that. So that was good. And then I just pulled the old cable out, put it back up, which was fairly easy as long as you keep the pole upright and you don't have to worry about doing the corner. So that went in fairly easy. And then the reinstall of the cable is exact opposite of taking it out, obviously. And then, yeah, that's about it. I put a little bit of rubber in the side here just to stop any chafing from happening. And you can see the new cable down there. I ran it under the fuel tank again where the stock cable was. There's a channel in the foam underneath the tank that the cable runs through. So yeah, that's about it. So thank you guys for watching. If you found this video helpful, maybe leave a like. It really helps the channel. And if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. I'll try and answer any questions that you guys have. Other than that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.